This is a community of meditators, but also a community of investors and entrepreneurs and artists and individuals endeavoring down this path of the Dharma. So let's get into it. The Dow dropped today. The Dow dropped today. I don't know if you saw it. It pared back much of the gains from yesterday, dropping down over 200 points. But currently, it's down just over 40 points for now. The S&P 500 down 4 points, NASDAQ down 40 points, Russell down 8 points. As investors, one, maybe taking some profits from yesterday, but also two, maybe just be a little more cautious. Maybe just be seeing what's going on. So we'll keep our eye on the markets. We'll keep our eye on the stocks. And before we go any further, let's take a deep breath in. Inhale. Reminding ourselves that we are not our portfolios. Exhale. Finding some balance and some stability in the middle of it all. Inhale. And release. Continuing on in our news for today, we're checking in on 401k contributions. So I don't know if you knew this. I thought this was an interesting stat to point out for you. So everyone, we all have to think about retirement. Most of us don't think about retirement. We don't plan for it. We don't consider it. We think that it's so far away, and then one day it creeps up on us. One day it suddenly appears. And what happens? You're flat-footed. You're not prepared. And there's such a thing that in the Dharma, it reminds us that we have to be vigilant, right? That we have to prepare, that we have to take caution and be heedful to what lies ahead. We all know that that eventuality will come, right? Retirement. One day it will be there. One day we will arrive at that space. But we don't do anything to plan for it. Well, hear this. It says, contributing to a 401k is a smart way to save for retirement, right? For those of you who have access to a workplace plan, and especially if there is employer matching. But according to Fidelity, the average amount participants invested in a defined contribution account was $7,270 over a 12-year period, right? And that was the period ending in September 30th, 2020. Many participating employees often received matching funds from their employers. In fact, the average employer contributed during the same period $4,010. And so that's on average about, most people are doing about 13.5% of their income. They are contributing towards their retirement. So if you are thinking about where you are standing in comparison to the average American, Joe down the street, Susie from up the block, what they're contributing, 13.5% of their income. That means some are contributing a little bit more, some are contributing a little less. But the reality is that we have to begin to think about it. We have to begin to plan for it. And some of us, the reality is we may have to be doing some catch up, right? We may have been negligent. We may have had some things come up in life that didn't allow us to, where we had to reprioritize some things. But this at least gives you a benchmark, right? It at least gives you a standard at where to aim for, where to look at. If 13.5% of the average person is contributing towards their retirement, towards their 401k, that gives you a goalpost. That gives you a framework that you can work with, that you can say, I'm not there yet, but perhaps I can work my way up. Right to that point. And then for those of you who are already at that level, who are already maxing that out, you're in beast mode, you've made to this place of being at par, at parity. The next step is, what can I do to increase, right? How can I become above average? How can I go into a place where I am excellent? And so that's one thing that you really want to consider, is not just stopping at what is average. If the average is 13.5, the question becomes, how can I do 13.6, 13.7, 13.8, and continuing on, 13, 14%, 15%, right? And it's really to take these incremental steps so that one day, when you finally arrive at that place, you have tremendous resources available. And so I just wanted to share that thought with you. Let's take a deep breath in, inhale, release. It's so important that we remember that we are not our account balances, right? We are not our contribution percentage levels. We are not staying caught up or pressed or shook by where we've fallen short, right? That is not the intention behind this. The only intention was that we provide ourselves an orientation, a way of understanding where we are in life. You know, the Dharma says that if an elephant is stuck in the mud, you have to extricate it, right? That if your mind is stuck, you have to extricate it, bring it out. And so this provides you a framework of how to bring it out. Fidelity is saying out of all their users, right, and they have millions of individuals investing with them, they're saying, here's the average contribution. And that means average means that some are contributing above and some are contributing below, perhaps in disproportionate amounts, and there may be more people on one end or more on the other, but that's the average. Here we go. Okay. So before I go any further, don't forget to take some time to hit the like button, right? Hit the share button. Share it with your networks. We're trying to continue to grow Try Flourishing, right? Don't just sit there and be idle. No, be a participant. Drop some comments, drop some likes, drop some shares. Continue to grow this community. We're providing valuable information here. Like, let's be real. Let's be fair. I'm providing you with this service, providing you with this useful information about average 401k contributions, about the daily stock market updates, about where the Dow is standing, helping you find balance in the middle of your portfolios. The least you can do is hit the like button to help the algorithm, to hit the share button to extend the reach of our message, and to comment, to share, and if you want, contribute. Right? And really, generosity is at the heart of our practice, right? It's at the heart of the practice of mindfulness. And so hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal. The links are in the video. Okay, moving on. ADP released jobs data signaling that hiring is slowing, right? We know from news reports that there is a surge in coronavirus cases, right? There is a surge in hospitalizations across the country, that a second wave is forming, and a lot of employers are hesitant about hiring. They're slowing their hiring. Usually the winter season is a very busy shopping season, and as stores transition from the brick and mortar to online shopping, then they're reshifting their hiring patterns, right? A lot of seasonal workers that would normally get these jobs, they're not necessarily getting them at the same level as employers are hiring less. And so the ADP payroll data showed the U.S. private employers added 307,000 jobs in November, missing the 410,000 jobs that analysts surveyed by Refinitiv were expecting. Job gains from the prior months sorry, I lost my place 1 second. Job gains from the prior month were revised up from 404,000 from 365,000. And so there was an expectation that 410,000 jobs were created, and employers only added 307,000. So that's a little over 100,000 jobs that weren't created, right? That weren't filled. That there was an expectation that there would be a level of growth that was not met according to this single data point. Now, next month, this data could be revised upwards. It could be trended upwards. We may find out that, oh, maybe it wasn't necessarily 100,000 jobs. Maybe it was 70,000, 60 or 50,000. But what we can glean from this data is this. One, things are a little unsettled right now, right? It's not as boomy as we may think it is, right? It may be a little softer job market out there than a lot of people consider. And so let's just take a moment to take a breath in for everyone who is experiencing job loss right now and everyone who's seeking employment right now. Let's just take a moment to breathe and bear witness for them. Taking a deep breath in, inhale. And release. Inhale. And release. May you find employment. May you be able to expand your business and hiring. May individuals seeking work find it. May our economy continue to grow and thrive. Okay, moving on. This is a good point to check in and say this. Try Flourishing offers private tea meditations. And in the tea meditation, it's an opportunity for self-discovery. It's an opportunity to begin to check in on ourselves and see how we're doing on the inside, to find some clarity and understanding about what's taking place within our hearts and what's taking place within our minds and what direction we want to pursue and what do we want out of life and what is being asked of us by life. Right? There's so many large questions that we have to explore in life, and we don't oftentimes give ourselves a safe space to explore, to try to find a balance through these questions. And so this tea meditation, it provides an opportunity and provides a structure and provides a safety for one, exploration of your interior life, but also some balance, right? Providing some balance about who you are and what you want out of life. And so I really want to invite you to visit tryflourishing.org and schedule a tea meditation that works for you. All right. Moving back to our stories for the day. Somebody is feeling cashy out there because mortgages have spiked 28% and the average amount sets a record high. What we are seeing is that there is a delineation, right? The Gini coefficient is widening, that there are the haves and the have-nots. And those who have, they are buying hard assets. They are buying real property. They are buying land. They are buying homes. They are fleeing the cities. They are moving to suburbs. They're moving to smaller towns. And it's helping to create record prices in new communities as people leave large cities. I just saw a story that Hewlett Packard was leaving San Jose, right? Their home, their founding, they were moving to Texas, right? One of the reasons is affordability, right? One of the reasons is that San Jose is just so expensive, and I know it's being made into a political thing. They say it's regulatory environment and everything, but the cost of living in San Jose is massive, right? In California, it's massive. And companies are going to keep considering ways of how do we allow our workforces to survive, right? Even if they own or have high incomes, a lot of people who never considered leaving, to San Jose or Silicon Valley, a lot of top talent is now willing to say during this pandemic, I'm willing to work from a different place. right? I'm ready to see what other options are available. And we're going to see this great dispersal of people from these concentrated metropolitan areas into smaller towns, into medium-sized towns, into spaces with more affordable cost of living and friendly regulatory environments. And so that's just something to consider. And so it says mortgage applications to purchase a home jumped 9% last week from the previous week and were 28% higher annually, according to Mortgage Bankers Association. Applications to refinance home loan, those fell 5% last week, but were an impressive 102% higher than a year ago. And so that just shows you, right? Even from a year, even within a year where we thought that there was going to be total economic chaos and collapse, there was 100% increase for the refinancing. And some of it could be taking advantage of lower rates. It could be a number of reasons that go into that. But a number of people, some people could be extracting value using their, it could be a lot of reasons why they're doing that. But that's just some insight into our economy that one, people are still purchasing, two, they're setting higher prices for when they purchase. And so it says, Thanksgiving week isn't usually a popular time for home buying, but economic numbers this year are incomparable, especially in a pandemic spiking housing market. Mortgage applications to purchase a home jumped 9%. And one of the quotes says, purchase activity continued to show impressive year-over-year gains, with both the conventional and government sectors and market posting another week of growth. And it says fast rising prices caused the average purchase loan to hit $375,000 last week, the largest since the inception of MBA surveys in 1990. And some of this may have to do with a higher average purchase price is this. The dollar is softening. The dollar is weakening. Hard assets are becoming more valuable, thereby becoming more expensive, right? They're appreciating. And we can't neglect looking at that, right? That those who already have the assets, their wealth is increasing. And those who don't have them, they're increasingly being shut out, right? That's just the reality of the situation. And so we have to look at it in that dualistic way, right? And you ask how things get inured and how things, how society fractures. This is a sign right here. This is a symptom right here. Yes, if you own the asset, it's great, it's wonderful. You're popping bottles, you're naming yachts. If you don't, it becomes increasingly harder. It becomes that much harder to do so. So just something to consider, that yes, mortgages are increasing. They're spiking 28%, refinancing, spiking, all-time highs, spiking year-over-year gains, over 100%, and the economy is still in the pandemic. So there's just some things to consider for now. Okay. Let's take a moment to breathe in, inhale, and release. For those of you who own homes, breathing in, release. For those of you who don't own homes, breathing in, and release. May we find continued stability and growth within our economy. Okay, moving on. 83% of small business owners support another round of stimulus relief from Washington, a survey reveals. So it says Main Street has been clamoring for a new round of federal relief, with 83% of small business owners. In the latest CNBC poll shows that they would support a new economic stimulus package to help individuals and businesses impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. On Tuesday, after months of stalled talks between Capitol Hill and the White House. And so many small businesses out there are really struggling to get by, right? They don't necessarily have access to those large capital pools or reserves or access to capital markets like larger organizations do. And they are disproportionately impacted by stay-at-home orders and and regulations to curb the coronavirus because they are the main street, right? They are the local places within the community that people go to. And now that they've been placed in this economic protocol, it's really difficult for them right now. And so this is just a reflection that small businesses, they're hurting right now. They, they're looking for some relief. They're trying to survive. They're trying to make it through this pandemic. And as we have a second wave approaching and a greater amount of closures approaching, the question becomes, what happens next? What happens to them next? How do they survive? And so to all the small business owners out there, to all the startups out there, to everyone out there who is struggling, right? Struggling to make it. I just take a moment to breathe with you. Taking a deep breath in for the small business owners. Inhale. And release. Inhale. And release. May you find stability. And may you continue to grow. Moving on. Pier 1 Imports, the owner of home decor. I've always liked Pier 1. Do you guys like Pier 1? You like the way they look, like the style? I always thought it was kind of like this California chic, very relaxed, very, clean lines. Sometimes it had feels of just like this kind of just very relaxed, beachy kind of vibes, right? And so it says that Pier 1 has bought bankrupt Steinmart for $6 million and plans to relaunch the brand online next year. So if you guys remember Steinmart, they filed for bankruptcy, and Steinmart essentially, went out of business. Pier 1 has purchased the intellectual property from Steinmart for $6 million. So they aren't taking on anything else, right? They aren't taking on the, the employees. They're not taking on any of the old debt. They just bought the intellectual property, and they are going to revive the brand online, right? So Steinmart is going to be revived online. And it should be interesting, right? Uh, okay, and so it wasn't bought by Pier 1, it was bought by Rev, who owns Pier 1. So just wanted to clarify that. And so Rev is a Miami-based company that revives distressed retailers as online-only stores. And so that could be really interesting to see if the Steinmart brand, I know that had a loyal following of individuals who really like that, who like the Steinmart vibe and brand. And so here's to bounce back. Here's to resiliency. Shout out to everybody who is going through a setback or failure in life and are finding a sense of resiliency. Let's take a deep breath in for anyone going through that kind of difficult period and are experiencing some challenges or setback. Taking a deep breath in, inhale, and release. Okay, moving on. Okay, another one. Okay, another one, another one. I love Discovery Channel, but okay, here we go. It says Discovery to launch a streaming service in January starting at $4.99 per month. Verizon customers get a year free. So here's the thing. we all unbundled from cable because we decided it was getting too much. And so we were okay with that. And then we started to get Netflix, and we're like, okay, I'm cool with the Netflix. And then you got Hulu, and then you got YouTube TV. And so now this rebundling, right? It's like everything is separate. Now you can get the ESPN package, you can get the HBO now Max package, you can get the Disney Plus package, you can get the Hulu, you can get Netflix, you can get all of these, but they're all starting to add back up, right? They're all starting to add back up to the cable bill, right? And then sometimes it may be even exceeding the cable bill, but it's just like, oh, another one, right? Another service. Um, but if you really like the discovery content, you'll be you'll be okay. You'll be okay with investing in it and everything. But it's $4.99, so just throwing that out there, just letting you know it's another streaming service available. Tap into it if you like. All right. Let's just remind you of this. Let me just remind you of this. If you are going through a process of self-discovery, if you are looking for a way to find balance within your life, if you are asking those major life questions, who am I? What do I want out of life? Identity, purpose. A good starting place is the T meditation. It is not going to quickly answer all the questions, but it gives you a starting point, a place to slow down and reconnect with and find a sense of stability in the midst of it all. And so I invite you to schedule a tea meditation today. You visit tryflourishing.org, tryflourishing.org. Okay. And so, my message of encouragement for you, I want to share the Dharma with you. I would be remiss if I did not share the Dharma with you. And so, I want to take this opportunity to share it. And so, the Dharma is the teaching that mindfulness emerges from, right? And it is the teaching that holds our meditation practice. And it's very valuable, right? And so, here's my message of encouragement for you. It says, in verse 103, though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 people in battle, yet if one indeed is the noblest victor who conquers oneself, right? Though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 people in battle, yet indeed one is the noblest victor who conquers oneself. And so this is this idea of self-mastery. This is this idea of discipline. This is this idea of self-control, of self-restraint. So many of us are impeded from excellence, from greatness within our lives because we refuse to acknowledge, we refuse to conquer ourselves. We allow our emotions to run the show. We allow some thought to run the show when we should be aligned to our access and aligned to this sense of purpose of why am I here? Instead of just getting caught up in a train of emotions, wave after wave, just getting carried away, right? Listening to other individuals, listening to critics, listening to haters, listening to the trolls. Instead of saying, how do I bring myself back into balance? How do I bring ease back into my life? And so we, as mindful individuals, have to remain steadfast in our pursuit of self-mastery, right? Of being disciplined, of offering to ourselves a pathway to being people of integrity, right? Mindfulness, it constantly teaches us this idea of the precepts, right? Right views, right effort, right work. not extending harm, using wise speech. All of these ideas on how we can offer and place guideposts on our lives so that we're not just carried away. Though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 people in battle, it's easy to go tell someone else what to do. It's easy to go over to the neighbor and say, here's what you need to do. But it's much harder to do it for yourself, to tell yourself, this is what you need to do. This is how you can bring yourself back into balance, right? It can be very difficult to do that. And so I just want to remind you, wherever you are today, it's not just about telling someone else what to do. It's not about getting someone else in order. It's not telling someone else where they've fallen short. It's about bringing order and discipline to your life, right? Because there may be chaos within your life. There may be confusion within your life. There may be conflict within your life. And you have to find a way to bring yourself back into balance. And so, though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 people in battle, yet one indeed is the noblest, right? This idea that you are of noble birth, right? That you have value and that you have worth if you conquer yourself, if you have self-mastery. And so that's my encouragement for you today, wherever you are, is that you bring a sense of self-mastery to your life, right? That you bring that sense of excellence to your life, a sense of ethics and integrity to your life, that you operate with discipline and self-control as you begin to grow your business, right? As you launch your startup, as you assemble your team, as you create the new creative endeavor, as you express your artistic abilities through music and through dance and through illustration. Bring yourself back into balance. And so that's our practice for today. Let's say our affirmation and then we'll meditate. I have value and I have worth because I am of noble birth. And with this breath, I will awaken to all that's possible within my life. I will lead and I will achieve. I will lead and I will achieve. Nicely done, Sangha. If you said that simple affirmation, you are well on your way to your very own ennoblement. Let's take a moment to meditate, coming into an upright and comfortable seated position. Left hand supporting the right, thumbs curling up until the tips touch, closing your eyes if it's safe and comfortable to do so, taking a deep breath in and out to settle into your practice. We take our seats in meditation for the investors, and for the entrepreneurs, and for the small business owners, and for the renters, for the homeowners. We take our seat today for the workers and for those looking for work. We take our seat today for those who have bills, those seeking ways to fund their retirement. We take our seat today for individuals like you. That clarity be brought to their life, that understanding begin to emerge on how to proceed forward. So much of our life is dedicated to what needs to be seen, what needs to be heard, but we often avoid. We know the conversation needs to be had. We know we need to go through this process of self-discovery. We know we need to ask ourselves these pertinent questions. Who am I? What do I want out of life? What is being asked of me? Where am I going? And what's my history? That at points in our lives we look back, and at other points in our lives we look forward, and at other points in our lives we look at within, and at other points in our lives we look right ahead. And how do we find the right balance between all of those? Breathing in and breathing out. May you find work. May you find home and housing. May you continue to grow your team. May you continue to thrive. May your investments yield harvest. May you grow in prosperity and abundance. Namaste. Many deep bows of gratitude to you all for your meditation practice today. It was wonderful to be able to practice with you and to hold this space with you and to bear witness to your interior life of thoughts and emotions, of feelings and perceptions. Checking back in on the market one more time. The Dow currently stands down just 32 points, sitting pretty at 29,791. Stocks are mixed, some up, some down. S&P 500 still down, a little less than a point. NASDAQ down 28 points, and Russell down 7 points. That is our business roundup for today. That is our check-in on the news. Listen, you're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to thrive in life. I invite you to support our work, to support our mission here. Continue to like, comment, share, subscribe, and when you're ready, contribute. Right? Generosity is the key. The information is on the screen, or you can visit tryflourishing.org and tap the generosity tab. Until next time, put one finger up for love, place 2 fingers up for peace, place 3 fingers up for this mindful community. Now bring it all in to awaken your heart. Then may your mind be free. Many deep bows of gratitude to you all today. May you lead and achieve in life. Namaste.